watching Tulipswift. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. This is the sequel to Crescent City. And first I'm going to give you some background about me because it's going to be kind of a negative review, but like I'm not a fan. It's a long story, so if you've never seen my channel before, first of all, welcome. How are you doing today? Thank you for clicking on my video. I really appreciate it. So my background with Sarah J Maas, because I know she has like a huge fandom, but then there's also this like cult following of like people who hate read her and watch like with Cindy who hate reads. Back in the day, I don't know the year, but I know that Crown of Midnight was just released. Is that what it's called? Oh my god, I just did that from the top of my head. I read Throne of Glass when it was really big, and ACOTAR or A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I would say is her most famous series. That's my favorite series. I actually have book reviews. I mean, I was like a little baby when I made those book reviews. I was in high school, but the characters in those are so iconic. Like, I love the fan fiction. I love the fan art. I really like cultivated her like Sarah J Maas cult. I think eventually like it started to get like really campy, but I felt like it wasn't campy on purpose and it wasn't campy to the fans, and it was really deep and meaningful and exciting to the fans. I thought it was just like camp. And when I say that, I mean like everything's like super dramatic and everyone is a soulmate immediately. It was when I read A Court of Silver Flames that was kind of like a turning point, because there was a lot that I really didn't like with that book. With the amount of Sarah J Maas books I've read at this point, a lot of it has been feeling repetitive. At one side of that, that's kind of made it not as good quality to me because I really know what's gonna happen. I feel like I'm on like season 10 of Pretty Little Liars and I kind of understand like the gimmicks. But on the other side, it's very comforting to me. Okay, here's how I'll explain it. If I meet someone in the real world who reads Sarah J Maas, which actually happens a lot, and that's what I do like about Sarah J Maas, is people will be reading her. You know what I mean? So, and if they go just like, oh my god, like I just love Sarah J Maas, I just love Reese, I just love the Night Court, I like agree with them and I like fangirl with them. But if somebody on the internet or in person says, oh my god, I just can't stand Sarah J Maas, like all the books are the same and they're so long, did Reese like invent feminism, like that's so over the top, and I'm like, I know, like it's so annoying. Crescent City, I didn't know if I was gonna read it because it was like a big boy, and then I got it from the library. It took me a really long time to get into it, but once I was like halfway through, I read it in one day. I'm gonna catch you up on what I think about the series so far because I really like it. When I finished Crescent City, I was like, this is my new favorite series. Like, this is my favorite series. Like, I think she finally cut the cord and they're gonna be in a modern day city and they're gonna have cell phones, because I'm so tired of like everyone like putting on a tunic and applying salve and going to the market, applying a tonic. It's just so repetitive and it feels forced. It applies charcoal to her eyelids. Like, every single character cannot apply charcoal like every single book. Like, it's so boring. When I come to expect it, it becomes like funny. Like, so then like someone will apply charcoal to their lids and I'll be like, yes, queen. All right, I'm gonna get out my little notebook. Oh, I wrote down, did we bully her out of using M dashes? Crescent City made me so happy because it had a good title. The title and the cover really made me want to read it. I know that it says like in small print, like House of Earth and Blood, and I hate that for obvious reasons. Like, I'm tired of every book having the same title. So everyone called it Crescent City, and that's because it was a good title. Unfortunately, we're not calling this Crescent City 2, we're calling it House of Sky and Breath. Like, it's always just like a pair of vibes or something. First book, I had really low expectations. Second book, I was waiting for so long. I was so excited. I pre-ordered it, which I never do. That was my bad. I take responsibility for having expectations. Second book, not cutting it. And I know that when everyone talks about the second book, they're all saying like, oh my god, the ending, like the ending. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna like spoil it in this video. Oop. I'm just gonna talk about the plot points and then tell you my reaction. So just, if you don't want to be spoiled, like, sorry. My impression after it was like, oh my god, so it was incredible. Like, I can't wait for the next one, which is all true and valid. But I was disappointed throughout the entire book up until the ending. So let's get into that. Oh geez, okay, so here's my like, most of this review is gonna be saying like how stressed I was. I didn't know who any of these characters were. Like, granted, I read the first one like like a few months after it came out, but I wrote down like people's names and I've kept it on a post-it card that I keep in my file folder that I go back to if I need to review notes for a book, because I'm a Virgo. But I have to say that this book really was testing me. I was so stressed out. I'm like, I want to comfort read this, but I feel like I'm studying for an exam. And let me give you some specific examples, and you can't tell me that you knew who everyone was. And then guess what? We just kept getting like more and more characters, like 6 more, like 4 more, like 3 more, like that person has a cousin. It was ridiculous. Like, and sometimes I just wanted to count. Like, I wanted to count how many people were in Bryce's apartment, and like, Sarah like never even pretends to like really want to put that many female characters in there. Like, she'll put one in and she'll be like a total like girl boss, more, or like Nehemia, like whatever, like she'll be like the most powerful, most wise, like funniest, kindest, blah 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 blah, but like no one cares about her because she doesn't have any like character. Like, she's very flat. But what people care about are the like 17 like grown men who like somehow need to be like main characters, because like, yeah, they're funny and whatever, like, but like, how come every book is like a frat house? Every series, like more and more, they kept having to introduce more characters to be female characters so they could have soulmates. And I was, guess how tired I am. Here's what I wrote down. And this was the first few chapters, putting Bryce, Hunt, Ivan, Rune, Tharian, and Cormac in the same room. And you cannot tell me with certainty that you knew who all those people were. Like, by the end of the book, yeah, okay, I knew who they were. I knew Ivan, like, okay, like from the past. Like, Cormac, he's like a prince. We got some fae in there. You got Tharian, who I don't really remember being important in the first book. I remember like doing a favor for them or something. And like, I guess he's like Aqualad, but... Oh, and then you also have Fury, Juniper, Declan, Flynn. Are you kidding me? Declan and Flynn, I don't know how necessary they were. I guess we're just trying to get numbers at this point, so we end up in like an Avengers Infinity War scenario where we just have like a shit ton of people, but we're only on book 2, and I think if those people were important, like, I wish they came later on. Like I said, like, there weren't enough women, so then like the more like dudes she added, we have to keep adding like female characters. So we have Sophie, Celestina, Hypaxia, Pollux, Baxian. So I'm just curious, like, if anyone else read this series and you're not like a huge stan and you've read it like 6 times, like, did you know who all these people were? Because I did not know. So I kind of touched on it, but I also just want to say, do not care for June and Fury. They feel supplemental. I didn't really understand the relationship, not between June and Fury, but just like between them and like Bryce, like why they're like in the book. I think one of my biggest complaints with, it's usually female characters, they don't get the screen time for me to connect with them. So when I'm like, so why are we so excited about this? And it's like, oh, like that's an important character, that's her female friend. I'm feeling the part in, and I just have Avengers on the brain because I made that reference, the part in Endgame where all the ladies are like, boom, boom, like the one with the wings and the one with the alien, and I didn't know any of those people's names because I barely see them. They've all been in like a few minutes of each movie, or they don't speak a lot. Like, they're not important like Iron Man and Captain America are important. And Black Widow doesn't deserve to live because she can't have children. So like, what is the point? That's her only purpose as a woman. Give me the screen time, or just like, don't pretend. Just like every other character, you have to put in the work, or there's nothing to care about. You feel me? Oh my god. So I've been kind of leading up to it because there's just so much sex in this book. And when there's not sex, like, it's still like a very, very important theme. The gimmick in the first book was kind of like, oh my god, they're both like so horny. It's like a slow burn, they love each other, and then they're like enemies to friends to lovers. I love that. Lily was kind of on a cliffhanger. She just really wanted to keep that going. It's not like we didn't do the waiting. Like, we read the whole first book, it was a slow burn. Okay, cool. Second book, they should be doing it like, I don't know, 50 pages in. They should be doing it. It just was almost silly at this point. I wrote down, there are 2 plots. Confusing character orgy and will they bone? I read a lot of hate online about Bryce. Like, they don't like her. Like, Bryce is like really funny and I think a great character. The writing often gets repetitive when talking about her. Yes, she was drunk. Yes, she was partying. Yes, she was sleeping around. That's just a writing flaw, ma'am. Okay, like, Bryce is so out there. I find Feyre is just like so good and true and blah blah blah. And I don't know, Bryce is like a teenager because it's a young book. Like she's 20, 22. She's 22. Like I'm 22. And I felt like that was way more real. Yeah, I feel like the slow burn was not cute anymore. Instead of world building on this like cool, all-inclusive fantasy realm, I just got like hasty descriptions of how magic worked and it all seemed to contradict itself. We did get detailed family lineages and just like so-and-so, 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 their boyfriend, their partner, their roommates, and their this and this, and then they come from this and this and this. But like the actual world, oh yeah, they like charge a thing up. You're gonna do like the drop and you get all this power, but your power like goes to this city. I don't know, like maybe that did make some kind of sense, but I don't know. You have to anchor your drop so you don't fall into your power. Parts of that I think are really cool, but like a lot of it I don't really understand. I'm just gonna say it. I don't really understand it. Like I said before, I do stan Therian and Ivan. I think Sarah J Maas writes wonderful male friendships and male-female friendships. It's very like New Girl. I feel like New Girl is a male-dominated show, but it's written by women. It's that like endearing feeling of like a male friendship. I definitely get that so much from Sarah J Maas books. I think she's way more likely to write men. And the female friendships always seem so serious. I hate how serious they are. It's always like, I love you, you are my female friend, I worship you. And stop killing them. Yeah, literally, like Nehemia, like Danica. Oh my god, I was gonna address this later, but okay, so when I finished the first Crescent City, I was like, whatever, like Danica was her best friend. They were soulmates in the Sarah J Maas way that female friends can be. But then the fan fiction and the fan art and like the blogs were all like, they were gay. Like that's why she wasn't with Connor, because she was in love with Danica. Like that's why it was like a piece of her soul was ripped out when Danica died, because that was her lover. Like they loved each other. That was not brought up in this one. I mean, it felt like subtext in the first one, like it wasn't like explicit. In this one, it's even further off in the fact that like Danica had a mate. Like obviously like Danica wasn't queer. I mean, I can't say that, but like I don't think she was. I really thought after kind of reading the response, I was like, oh, like I guess I just assumed that they were friends, but maybe there was something more. But I don't think they were anymore, guys, because like Danica had a mate and she was like really into him, even though he was like a dick. So, Rune, I'm gonna have to say it, I think he was too stupid for me. I did not like him. I thought he was too dumb. He had nothing going on upstairs. I was kind of tired of the lip ring. It's cool that he has a lip ring. It does not need to be mentioned in every scene. The lip ring is not a character in the book. We have plenty of those. What was more important is that he has long hair. Did not know that. I did not know that. And I can't picture him correctly if he doesn't have long hair. Also, yeah, back to my point, he's way too stupid. It was so annoying when he was like playing double spy, like not realistic, not cutting it for me. He sounded so dumb. What's her name? Day, on like the other side of the thing. He was so over the top with her and just like flirting with her. Like he seems like a dumb kid, and obviously she's older and she like knows what she's doing, and it was just embarrassing. I didn't know who she was, but I knew it was gonna be a plot twist. And then when he was like supposed to meet her by the fountain, but instead he saw like Hypaxia, I think, or whatever. Is that who she is? I don't know. But whoever like the bad guy is, I was like, oh, like that's her, but we're just not gonna expect it or whatever. And I was right. That was her. After they met, he was like, yeah, it was too dangerous. And she's like, yeah, like it was too dangerous. And then like the way that she reacted after that made me think that wasn't her. Speaking of people's hair, is Bryce a ginger? Because she has red hair. She has never said anything about dyeing it. And she doesn't have like, you know, light skin and freckles. Like she doesn't have like ginger vibes. She's not like Clary. The fanfiction, she just looks like she has like dyed red hair. Honestly, like I said before, I do really like Bryce. This whole book was like leading up to this kind of like rebellion that we have to like overthrow the government was very stressful for me. First of all, the whole first book, my impression was there wasn't this sense of urgency to like overthrow things. It was all about staying out of trouble. Because in the first book, we learned like how awful the Asteri are. Asteri? They can do so many bad things, and that's why Hunt was like tortured and like we have to steer clear of them. So much of that book is just literally doing whatever they say. Oh, like you have to like babysit Bryce, and like Bryce, you really need to like figure out like what Danica was all about, and you need to find out who killed her. And they just do whatever they say. Like I get that it would have been too much of a conflict if Hunt really didn't agree with her, but like Obviously he didn't, but like he came around like super fast. But like I didn't come around because like I was taught this is the deal. The entire plot was just dictated by whatever the Asteri told him to do. But in this book we're just like, okay, like they're bad, like we're just gonna have to tear it down right now. Like I felt the stakes. I felt like how dangerous it was and how stupid it was, and it seemed that the characters were aware of that, but I did not empathize with why they were doing this. It was so like sloppy. What is this revolution? And then they find out, what's her name, like Pippa Spetsos? I'm sorry, I really hate that name. But I just got really frustrated because they joined this like revolution full force and then they're just like evil and they're just killing people and then they're awful. Oh, I guess we're gonna like go against them too. And I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? It's so insane. Here's my note. I just found out Rugby has long hair 90% into the book. That was way more important than the lip ring character. So true. Yeah, okay, so Therian, I feel like got too much screen time. Enough is enough, like cut it down, like too much Therian. And then his motives kept kind of being confusing. He's kind of this prisoner, as Hunt was in the first book. He has to do whatever the River Queen says. The River Queen seems like a bad bitch. She has his family, he has to do whatever she says. He didn't really have this agency that like Bryce has or thinks that she has. It really put him in a tight spot, but you could tell that he like what he really cared about. And then like halfway through, all of a sudden he's just gonna like disobey the River Queen when like he literally had an alternative, like the River Queen's sister or whatever, like the ocean girl, when she was like, you should like come join us and like I can like help save your family and blah blah blah, and then he was like, no, like I can't like disobey the River Queen, like blah blah blah. And I was like, oh okay, like that's how serious this is. Like he just got a way out and he's not gonna do it. And I never thought that he would like sell himself to the fucking Viper Queen. And I was so confused because I thought he had to lose his fins because I know that would be devastating. What's the worst that could happen? Then he didn't have to go back into the ocean. Then he could stay on land. He literally always wanted to stay on land. All the sections of like Crescent City are from different worlds and they're like farmed or whatever, which is kind of like, I feel like, did Sarah J Maas reach class consciousness? And it makes so much sense like why Faye have the same exact rules as in ACOTAR. I can actually tell like from the beginning now that she like planned this kind of like crossover, which I'm so excited about. I don't even know if it was like mentioned that going back to Therian that he abandoned his family. He was just like, listen, like I cannot go back to the River Queen. Like I cannot go back to her. And I was like, sir, just like overthrow her with like her sister. Like she offered you sanctuary. Like what is your problem? For the Viper Queen, which by the way, that's like the rest of his life he's like a slave to her, and he didn't even like negotiate his terms. If he was being so out of his mind that he was gonna just like change his life for the chance to not have to go back to her, he should have just like kept his legs. He has to like be like in a fight club or something for her. I'm sorry, it just does not make sense. And then I think Cormac died, which like someone had to die. There were too many guys. There's just too many people in this book. I know for a fact that we're gonna get mates from ACOTAR crossed over to Crescent City because like it's gonna happen. Once she like went into the realm, like I thought it did a really good job because we could have all predicted like, oh, it's gonna be a crossover, we can't wait for them to cross over. And when she was going into a portal, like of course you would have thought it was gonna happen, but it was set up that like she has to go to hell, like she's going to hell and creating like gathering hell's armies. I knew that, but like I think I was kind of challenging myself to like predict the ending because I'm annoying. When like there's other worlds, I was like, oh damn, like one of those worlds is Reese and Feyre getting it on. I was on the verge of crying when Hunt was like saying goodbye, which was really really sad because I was like, is she actually gonna die? And then I was like, no, because I kind of got used to you have no idea what's gonna happen, how she's gonna get out of this. That pattern kept happening of them just doing like the absolute most. Oh, they'll be fine. Oh my god. So back to the revolution that they were randomly having to like overthrow their entire government. It was very strange how the biggest thing that they were afraid of is like Hypaxia finding out, because they were all gonna like be tortured for the rest of their lives. This book could not make more clear how high the stakes were, but I still didn't understand why we were doing things besides to like make a better world. And the way that Cormac's trying to be like Batman, he's like, yeah, like the only way I can like help everyone is to like destroy everything. No bitch, like just like give like public schools like more funding. So Apaxia literally finds them on her like jet ski. I don't know if she was on a jet ski, but I like pictured her on a jet ski for some reason, and they're all in the ocean just like floating. This cast is so dumb and like not in an endearing way, and I was just couldn't take them seriously. And the fact that they actually get caught, you know, their danger is so great because Hunt went into like alpha mode and he can't even see anything, and she has to have sex with him to like revive him from the state, which is so bizarre. And I think that kind of ruined it because their first time is in a submarine, and I hate when we're waiting for the characters to get together and they always do it and it's like some weird condition. I don't like that. I wish they did it in the hotel when they were planning on it. Anyways, the stakes were so high, and then Apaxia did nothing, and they didn't immediately know that she was like working for the other side or something. Like, are they so dumb? They were just caught by like the head of everything, and then they just thought everything was gonna be okay, and they were just like, we'll just like lay low for a little bit. I just feel like motivation should have been clearer and the plot should have been crispy clean. It felt like a first draft of just vibes carry us here. It just was so much like imminent danger that didn't make any sense as the book was going, figuring out what they wanted to do. Yeah, you know what? We do want to do this. We do want to overthrow this. We do want to find out this. And then Danica has to do with this. Blah, 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 blah. What the characters want should be like ingrained from the very beginning. The stakes of the world, their relationship to their world, that's something I want to understand like before halfway through the second book. Anyways, I'm really happy that we're going to ACOTAR. Obviously, this series is just falling off the rails, so hopefully Rhysand can explain modern feminism to everybody and we will all be okay again. You know what? I'm gonna make another note because I want to tell you how out of my mind I was at the ending. Like I told you, I predicted it to happen. I really wanted it to happen. I was in the Trader Joe's break room and I was reading the ending, literally started squealing out loud, which I don't have to do because it's embarrassing and because it's just a book and I don't even like this book that much. No matter how much I like predicted and like visualize this happening, actually theorize like what are the chances that we could get these series to cross over, I did not think it was gonna happen. And once it happened, my mind was blown. I was so happy. You know what? Finally, these characters are better and ACOTAR makes so much more sense to me. I'm so excited. But I'm really annoyed because there's gonna be like 18 people in each cast and they're all gonna have to come together and it's gonna be way too many fucking people. Luckily, I do know everyone from ACOTAR like the back of my hand because I read each of those books like 2 times. Calling the horny police. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good, and this is why I'm glad I kept with these books because it is campy. Like we're literally doing a huge series by series crossover. So yeah, this is my guilty pleasure series. It's kind of all over the place. Really had to do a review and I'm sorry it's gonna be 30 minutes long. But thank you so much for watching. It's really hard to continue making stuff as a small, minuscule, microscopic creator. So it's good to be back whenever I can. But books like this make me lose my mind and I have to share my thoughts because there's only the super fans and there's the haters. But I want someone who reads these because they like them to be saying how nonsense these books can be because like I will be the voice of that. I will do it. I will be the voice. Okay, well that is actually all. I really gotta cut this. But thank you so much for watching. Love you. Bye!